Most people are not familiar with the fact that when James Deering created Vizcaya, he established a village across the street, very much in the spirit of a Northern Italian country estate. And in that village, he constructed a number of really beautiful, intimately scaled buildings that housed some of his staff, also housed back of house functions such as a garage and a mechanic shop, and also provided stables for horses, mules, a poultry barn, etc. And James Deering made his wealth in the production of mechanized farm equipment. Kind of interesting and ironically, in the Vizcaya village, he had a very large kitchen garden that was hand tooled and that was used to cultivate fruits, vegetables, and flowers for the property. And Deering would give some of those to his neighbors. At some points in Vizcaya's early history, there's actually a roadside stand at which they were sold. So for the first 50 years of Vizcaya's history as a public museum, those buildings were used by the Park and Recreation Department as administrative offices. And around 1960, the county also allowed what eventually became the Miami Science Museum to build a structure on that property. And if we fast forward, as I'm sure all Inspicio readers and viewers will know, the Frost Science Museum now has incredible modern facilities downtown on Biscayne Boulevard. And so we, Vizcaya, have had an opportunity to really revitalize the village. The revitalization of the village really consists of a few key tenets. The buildings there are part of Vizcaya's National Historic Landmark designation. And so a really critical part of our work is to restore the buildings. And also the landscapes there include quite a bit of native pine and other rockland environments. And so one of the goals is really to create a new civic space in the Vizcaya village that will welcome our community, passers-by on 32nd Road who are bicycling or jogging, users of the underline, neighbors in general, to kind of enjoy and explore this pretty extraordinary, intimate combination of buildings and landscapes. I think the most exciting part of the village is that we really get to tell the full story of Vizcaya. So to date, Vizcaya has really been one very wealthy man's home and elaborate gardens. It's probably perceived as a place of luxury and leisure, even though there is always a lot of work required to keep this place going. And so the village gives us an opportunity to tell the other side of the Vizcaya story. Kind of the connection to the land, the work that was involved, and I'd say the relationship of the employees on the estate to its operation, including a lot of Bahamians from Coconut Grove who were involved in the early operations and creation of Vizcaya. So related to that, most mature museums have dedicated classroom spaces and gathering spaces in which to do public programs. Vizcaya's classroom spaces are basically the main house and gardens, and we're definitely extremely limited to the kind of programming we can do there when you're in a space that has marble walls or silk tapestries. So an amazing thing that the village will provide is the opportunity to create more classroom and activity spaces for community programming. And that will really allow us to welcome school groups, families, people of all ages for an expanded roster of programs that deal with art, history, and the environment, and increasingly urban farming, which is something that we have seen the village as kind of providing a great opportunity to add a whole additional dimension to Vizcaya. And in that respect, we've had a farmers market operating since November 2020 in collaboration with Urban Oasis Project. The village also is going to provide us with an opportunity to give our visitors just a more cohesive experience. Right now, because our visitation has grown so much, not all of our visitors are able to park on this side of the street. So even in off season, we are sending our visitors to the other side of the street for pretty confusing and elaborate arrival sequence. And there's no space to kind of get oriented and plan your visit. So down the road, all of our visitors will arrive in the Vizcaya village. They'll have opportunities to customize their visit and kind of get a better understanding of what's here, in addition to seeing the whole other side. And finally, if you think about a place like Vizcaya, which was built as a private home and has almost all of its rooms open to the public in their original historic state, you might not have asked yourself, where do all of the staff work and where do they undertake things like object conservation and property management and landscape stewardship and all of that stuff. So we do have some offices in the main house, but the village is also going to provide us with an opportunity to accommodate some of our current professional activities. And so instead of the village being like colonial Williamsburg, it will more be reflective of, let's say, a living museum, in which there are opportunities also to interact with museum professionals, walk into greenhouses and learn more about the work that our horticulture department does, interact with conservators as they're working on objects. And, we hope just really provide a much more multidimensional experience.